Welcome to pile number 1. Your hidden shadow is William Elliot. Of all the villains in Austen's entire canon, William Elliot is perhaps the most dangerous precisely because he is the least obviously villainous. And Justice, as your shadow card, is here to illuminate exactly why that parallel is so personally significant. On the surface, William Elliot is everything propriety and good sense could wish for. He is polished, considered, principled in his speech, admirably fair-minded in his assessments, and possessed of a seemingly genuine respect for doing things correctly and properly, and with appropriate regard for others' well-being. He is, in every external measure, the very image of a just and reasonable man. And he is, beneath every single layer of that impeccable presentation, entirely, ruthlessly, and almost impressively self-serving. The shadow of justice. Your shadow, the one this card is gently and somewhat uncomfortably holding up for your inspection, is the capacity to use the language and the architecture of fairness as a tool of manipulation rather than a genuine commitment. It is the part of you that can construct a perfectly reasonable, beautifully balanced, entirely convincing case for whatever position happens to benefit you most, and do it with such evident sincerity that even you sometimes lose track of where the genuine principle ends and the self-interest begins. You are good at being right. You are extremely good at appearing right. And the William Elliot shadow asks whether those two things are always, in your hands, the same thing. There is also something here about the way judgment is deployed. Justice holds the scales, and in her shadow, those scales are not always as impartial as they appear. There may be people in your life who receive the full, measured, somewhat merciless weight of your assessment, while others, the ones who charm you, who flatter you, who reflect your own values and tastes back at you attractively, are assessed with a rather more generous eye. William Elliot saw people with crystalline clarity when that clarity served him and chose convenient blindness when it did not. The invitation of this shadow is the most challenging one justice ever offers, to apply your considerable powers of discernment to yourself with the same rigor you apply them to everyone else. The scales only mean something when they are genuinely, courageously, and uncomfortably balanced. Welcome to pile number 2. Your hidden shadow is Frank Churchill. The King of Swords is one of the most intellectually formidable figures in the entire tarot. Brilliant, strategic, possessed of a mind that moves faster and cuts deeper than almost anyone around him realizes until it is rather too late. And Frank Churchill is his Austen embodiment in the most specific, most revealing, and most personally instructive way possible. Because Frank Churchill is not a villain in the traditional sense. He does not plot or scheme with cold malevolence or pursue his ends at the cost of real suffering, or at least, he does not intend to. He is charming and warm and genuinely likable and probably excellent company at a dinner party. The problem is that beneath all of that considerable charm, Frank Churchill is playing a game that nobody else has been told they are participating in, and the King of Swords shadow asks you to sit with that recognition for a moment. Your hidden shadow is the use of superior intelligence as a form of control. The King of Swords at his most defended does not manipulate through force or overt pressure. He manipulates through information management, through the strategic withholding of truth, through the ability to read every person in a room with such precision that he can say exactly what each of them needs to hear, navigate every social dynamic with effortless ease, and maintain a version of reality that serves his needs while keeping everyone else pleasantly in the dark about what is actually happening. Frank Churchill spent an entire novel doing exactly this, charming everyone, managing everyone, keeping his secret with a breezy confidence that relied entirely on his faith in his own ability to control the narrative. It worked, mostly, until it spectacularly did not. The shadow question this card places before you is one worth genuine, unhurried consideration. Are there situations in your life where your intelligence is being used in service of transparency and genuine connection, or in service of control and self-protection? Are there truths you are managing rather than telling, narratives you are shaping rather than simply living, people you are charming rather than actually letting in? The King of Swords at his highest is someone whose extraordinary mind is placed fully in service of honesty and clarity. Frank Churchill's redemption, such as it is, comes from the moment he stops managing and simply, vulnerably, tells the truth. Your shadow is asking whether you might consider getting there a little sooner than he did. Welcome to pile number 3. Your hidden shadow is Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Before the protest begins, because the Queen of Swords person will absolutely have a protest fully formed and articulately expressed before this sentence is finished, take a breath. This is not a condemnation. It is an invitation to look at one of the most magnificently drawn shadow figures in all of Austen's work with a particular clear-eyed honesty that the Queen of Swords, at her very best, is more capable of than almost anyone. Lady Catherine de Bourgh is not stupid. She is not deluded about her own intelligence or her ability to read people and situations with a precision that cuts straight through to what she considers the essential truth of the matter. She is sharp and perceptive and possessed of a formidable force of personality that genuinely commands rooms, silences opposition, and bends social situations to her will through a combination of status and sheer, unapologetic certainty. Sound even slightly familiar? The shadow here is the distance between perception and wisdom, the gap that opens when someone's ability to see clearly is not matched by an equal ability to feel compassionately. Lady Catherine can identify weakness, inconsistency, and social inferiority with the speed and accuracy of a hawk spotting movement in a field. What she cannot do, what the Queen of Swords in her shadow cannot do, is consistently locate the compassion that would transform that perception from a weapon into a gift. The cutting remark that did not need to be made. The assessment delivered at full force when a fraction of the force would have served the truth just as well without the collateral damage. The certainty that her judgment is so reliably correct that the feelings of the person on the receiving end of it are simply not a relevant variable. There is also something here about the relationship between control and fear that Lady Catherine embodies with almost painful clarity. Her imperious need to manage every outcome, to dictate every connection, to ensure that the world arranges itself according to her exacting specifications. That is not the behavior of someone operating from genuine strength. It is the behavior of someone for whom the loss of control represents something genuinely terrifying. Your Queen of Swords shadow is asking you where in your life the sharp tongue and the iron will are protecting something softer and more frightened that has never quite been given the safety it needed to simply exist without armor. Lady Catherine never found out what she was like without the armor. You, with considerably more self-awareness than she ever managed, still have the chance.